Hello, everybody. Welcome to Yahoo, a whole year of quarantine. So awesome. And I have beautiful Cheryl here with her incredibly fun backdrop. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yay!
I have like
Right?
some black and white deer by Joel Dewberry.
That's cool.
It is cool, but I'm not, I'm not going to even compete with you. You're
Oh,
super fun and
it's
super cool.
okay. It's not a competition,
It's
right?
not, that's right. It's not a competition. So we're celebrating a whole year of quarantine and what that's meant. And so we're talking about resiliency, which is your capacity to bounce back. So I've asked Cheryl to talk about her experience with all the things that's happened this past year, how you've switched your business, how you've been able to serve more people as you've not been able to go and meet with all the people like we're used to now being online and all that. So I'll turn the time to
Yeah.
you now. Thanks, Cheryl.
No problem. Thank you for having me. This year has been incredibly tough, right? I mean, it's been
Mhm.
hard on everybody, but um I found myself in a really unusual position because my whole career was based on traveling to shows and teaching in person.
Right.
And I was teaching for probably 3 or 4 different promoters at the
Mhm.
time. And I was actually at a show. It'll be a year ago next week. And they shut the show down halfway through and said, pack
No.
up and go home, the show is
Wow.
closed. And so that's when I knew this was pretty serious and
Yeah.
that all these events started canceling. It was really, really scary. And I thought, how am I going to do this? I traveled 53,000 miles in 2019, and
Wow.
I basically traveled under probably under 3,000 miles total the following
Your
year.
car is
So,
like, "Where are you
oh,
neglected me? Where are you?"
yeah, like, oh my gosh. And so, and my business is the only income our household has. So I
Mhm.
am the provider.
Yeah.
This business is both me and my husband now, and it was like, uh-oh, without going on the road, where is all that money going to come from? So yeah, we had to make some pretty big changes around here, as you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, and the first thing we did was I had already had a filming set, but we
Okay.
really heavily invested
Yeah.
in video, and that was a really it really paid off,
Yeah.
to invest in better equipment and making this set
It's so cool.
more exciting, more on
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
All of this used to be painted like white and like pastel green,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
not me.
No, no, it's not you.
So this is much more right on target. But then I really felt so bad for all of my fellow quilt businesses, and that
Mhm.
really, I felt like that was something that I wanted to focus on and really support other businesses who didn't maybe have all the background I had in business and
Yeah.
um, training and things like that. So I really focused a lot of 2020 on my on supporting other quilt businesses, which was
How did you do
not
that?
the pivot most people make.
Right, right. How did you do that?
So like, you know, I did I recorded 5 different business classes, like how to increase your branding, how
Mhm.
to do video, how to, like structure your teaching contracts. I have one on mastering sales because, some of us are just not good at
Mhm.
sales.
Mhm.
um, and I did all these classes and I released them throughout the year. But I also then I did these 2 weekly videos on my Facebook feed for
Mhm.
free all through 2020 called Quilty Biz Chats.
Ah, perfect.
And so that was pretty cool. I got to like talk about the industry and what we were going through, and how we could all get through this together. And now those Quilty Biz Chats are a Patreon page. And
Perfect.
so I have if any business wanted to get those 2 weekly videos, I still make
Yeah.
them. They're just
Yeah.
now over on my Patreon, so that's pretty cool. So I have that, but then a lot of the changes really had to, like, in how I ran my business. Being away meant that I was not home a lot to create. So
Yeah.
now I found myself with more time than anything to
Mhm.
actually start creating things. And I think we launched more products last year than I have maybe in the 3 to 4 years before.
Wow. Wow. That's
So that was pretty
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
I got to develop all these tools that I always wanted to make, and
Mhm.
patterns I always wanted to make, um, classes that I always wanted to teach, but never thought that they could really be pulled off in person. So I got to do that. Um, and yeah, and by the end of it, it was like the year was not a normal year,
No?
but it wasn't a terrible year either. So it
So when
ended
you
up
think
coming out
about
pretty
that,
good.
what was probably your the biggest takeaways you got in 2020?
Um, you know, one of the things was, how do we connect
Mhm.
with our fellow quilters and our fellow fans when we
Yeah.
can't get together in person? And
Right.
our industry is really wrapped around these in-person events,
Yes.
QuiltCon,
Yes.
quilt festival, quilt shows, local quilt guilds. They all, even the quilt
Mhm.
shops,
Right.
are your
Right.
local clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
And we couldn't do any of that. We were really um isolated from each other, and so we all seem to gravitate towards all the tools that
Mhm.
now we kind of take them for granted. And but Zoom became such a big
Oh my
deal.
goodness. Yeah. So
Who
amazing.
knew? um and so I really focused a lot on doing, like, my own, I guess you would call it, like, TV show. Like, I can't really explain
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
it. But it was like my own hour on Facebook Live that I was like, this is going to be the hour I'm going to carve out, and I'm going to do demos, and we're going to talk, and we're going to just hang out. And
Mhm.
that really, I mean, I want to say, like, that kind of thing really saved my business. Doing those videos every single week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which after a while you're like, nope, it's Friday night, I got to do my video.
Right. Just like a
Everybody
new
knows.
norm. Yeah.
Yeah, like, don't call me Friday nights because I'll
Yeah.
be
I'm
on
hanging
Facebook
with
Live.
my ladies.
Yep, I'll be hanging out with my peeps.
Yeah, you peeps. You have men and women in there, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's all kinds, and it was so popular. It was so good, and I was getting such a good reaction from my fans that it led me to launch the Quilter Shopping Network, which is a
Mm.
Facebook
Right.
group for people like me or you or anybody could
Yeah.
come on and do an hour long show. And that was a place where you could reach new people who were interested in shopping.
Yes. Yes.
And so
That's
I
amazing.
thought, like, well, if I like to shop online, who else likes to shop online?
Yeah. Hello.
And so that really grew out of the pandemic as well. So it's kind of cool, to have this ability to really, like, connect with people in a
Mhm.
different way. And I've had people, and I'm sure you have too, that have said, you know I you never come to an area where I am, and
Mhm.
so I live out so far, away from everywhere you will
Yeah.
ever visit. So this is my only way to visit with
Yeah.
you.
I
And I
have
thought that was
clients
really cool.
in New Zealand,
Yeah,
in England, all over the States. I live on an island in Canada.
right. Yeah.
So for me to connect with so many people, I mean, we have a call of 30 women and they're from all over the place.
All over the world.
Yeah,
And
in my
it's
group.
so neat to,
Yeah.
like, be able to reach people, and offer classes that they would not otherwise
Yes.
have been able to take. And I even just got a message from a customer the other day, and she said, "Oh, I'm, she self-described herself as elderly, so it's not my word,
Yes, yes,
it was
yes,
hers."
yes.
But she said, "I'm elderly, I don't travel, and having you every week to watch, and the classes that you offer are the only ways that I can take your classes." And I thought, that's really cool to have someone,
Mhm.
that I would not be able to reach otherwise.
Right.
And so this has been um kind of eye-opening,
Mhm.
that we could have probably been doing this all along, but maybe the pandemic is good for our industry to be able to use all this technology,
Right.
as
So even
well.
opening it up to different options of, some of you can come in person, some of you can't. So let's accommodate those who can't, and you have a place.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas before it was kind of like you snooze, you lose. Like you can't be here, forget it. But like
Right.
maybe there
Yeah,
is
you
a place
were
for
out
that.
of luck.
Uh-huh.
There was no like, it was just too bad, so sad. You can't make it. That
Yeah.
was how it was before. And now we get to say, well, and even QuiltCon, I
Mm-hmm.
think they just came out and said that they're going to have an online component now all the time.
Yes.
That's
Amazing.
how popular their
Yeah.
online component was. And
Yeah.
the fact that they knew that there were people who, um travel wise,
Mhm.
even disability wise, can't
Yeah.
come or even can't attend a show, for whatever reason. And I think that's pretty amazing
Yeah,
too.
it is.
So
I remember when I first started really getting into quilting, I had three little kids and I was pregnant with my fourth. And there was, I had this certain blogs that I read like every morning. I felt so connected to those ladies
mhm,
because
mhm.
I was in this rural town. None of my friends were liking quilting. They're like, Dara, what's wrong with you? You're like 20, 30 years old and you're like quilting?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even for me, I couldn't even go to the local guild because I had so many kids and my husband worked
Right.
shift work. And so I felt very isolated. So when blogs started happening, I was just like, there's a lifeline for me. I'm not alone. I don't have to feel so.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole idea is, we do say that a lot, like, where are all the young quilters? Where
Mhm.
are all the,
Yeah.
the quilters who are, 20, 30? And I keep saying they're online.
Yeah.
And they may not be making quilts right now. They're probably doing cool things like cosplay or
Yes.
whatever,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
but they eventually, when we do, entice them to come over to the dark side of
Mhm.
quilting,
Mhm. Yeah.
then we have to have something that is in their wheelhouse. And if they're very technology based and
Mhm.
tech savvy, you know, I look at the rest of the industry sometimes, I'm like, oh, you know what? It probably could use a little boost. And that's what
Yeah.
the pandemic has done. It's had to
Yeah.
turn a bunch of people who hate technology into their own producer, their
Yes.
own,
Yeah.
you know, editor. They've had to learn all kinds of new software.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not a bad thing.
No. I used when I lived in France, the little kids French kids would eat everything, and the parents said it's not because they don't like something; it's just they haven't tried it enough times. So
Mm,
I think for us, when we haven't been challenged to try things in a different way, we just haven't tried it. Like maybe we actually do like Brussels sprouts, but you haven't had them roasted or you haven't had them with bacon or you just haven't tried it enough ways. And so I think that's we kind of got in this rut of this is how we do things. And it wasn't that it was bad, it just didn't expand us in a way that
yeah,
was super helpful.
I think that's true. And when I look at, like, we knew that YouTube was out there, right? We
Yes.
knew that all of these things were out there, but we all thought that the traditional way
Hmm.
of getting to be comfortable on camera or whatever
Yes.
was to be invited to one of those big,
Hmm.
tapings and be on TV and that was your traditional path. If you didn't do
Yeah.
that, then you don't have a
Yeah.
place to be, and this has like taken all those notions and just moved them out and
Isn't
said,
it
nope,
amazing?
there is no direct way um to do this anymore. And I think
Mhm.
that scares some people, which
For
would
sure.
scare
Yeah.
a lot of people, because
Yeah.
everybody wants a roadmap, but now there's no roadmap.
I remember when I used to watch those women like just free motion quilt, and they would just do like, I'd watch these YouTube videos right when YouTube first came out, and I'd be like, how do they know which way to go? It
Yes.
scared me to death. I thought, no, there's no way I could ever free motion quilt like that.
Right.
And eventually
Yeah.
I became the free motion quilting liberator. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, we just do this. It's only because we give ourselves the opportunity to learn and to grow. So that's what
Yeah.
resilience is. It's how do you bounce, like, I love this, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any difficulty we have, we can just and the thing is we never got challenged. We never were challenged with, oh, what do you mean?
Yeah.
People can just go on airplanes, or if they can't, that's too bad. But they didn't realize, we just didn't realize.
No, and I think there were, a few people who were like, we really wish that this all would move like ahead, but
Mhm.
I don't think we wished for this to happen, but we wanted some catalyst to kind of like push the baby bird out of the nest,
Yes,
So
yes. And learning to fly is hard. And
it
we do
is.
get
It's a
some
super
bumps.
scary thing, right? Because you're standing at that precipice and you're like, wow, it's a long way down.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, everybody makes their own way, and I think that's really awesome. I think there's a quilter and a style out there for everyone. There's room for everybody.
Yes.
There's,
Yes.
we all do such crazy different things. Like, I am this fabric manipulation expert that puts it into quilts, and I love this texture and raising the surface of my quilts, and it's very different from what other people
Mhm.
do, or what
Mhm.
other people who have done this before. My style's so different than theirs. There's room for everybody, and that's what I love
Totally.
about this industry.
Totally.
So
Yes.
it's
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's been so
yay.
inspirational. Your car is thanking you. The
Yes.
environment's thanking you, like all those
Yeah.
miles. And now you can reach so many more people. And you have just been such a great boost to others and help them.
Thank you. I appreciate
So,
that, and thank you as well, because
yes.
this is awesome for you to do as well. So
Yes. Well, thanks so much. So nice to connect with you. So people want to connect with you, Cheryl. Where do they go?
So my website is muppin.com, Muppin. It's like Muppet, like not Muppet,
Yes.
Muppin.
Muffin.
And also I'm on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. Cheryl Sleboda is
Yeah.
pretty
Okay.
easy to find
Yeah.
me.
All right. Awesome. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.